Hello everyone, it's Jay here from the Training Court podcast, a Pokemon TCG podcast bringing you anything and everything Pokemon TCG related. If you are looking for Pokemon TCG competitive decks ready to go, including GLC decks, please head over to pokedex4u.com. Pokedex4u has a variety of decks ready for sale, with each deck being fully customizable and bespoke to your needs. Use the code Training Court TCG for 5% off your first order. Now let's get on to the episode. Hello everyone and welcome to the Training Court podcast, the Pokemon TCG podcast about anything and everything Pokemon TCG related. Jay here for another episode, and I'm joined by my fellow co-hosts Andy, Al and Kath. Hello everyone, you right?
Evening.
Hello. So another week on from more. Well, got a bit more news. It's a bit of a slower news week, but we obviously were able to cover some elements that we were unable to cover last week. So I think the big thing for us this week is to cover Pokemon 151. I think last time we were recording, Pokemon 151 had dropped. It now becomes, by the time this episode is out, it becomes legal. We've also got our first regional with 151B legal. So we thought we'd cover some elements of how 151 is going to shake up the meta, or is it just a little stopgap until Paradox Rift in November. So first, though, we will start off as usual to see what everyone's been playing. So I'm going to go over to Andy. What have you been playing this week?
Still playing Giratina at Lost Box. Went to Fanboy 3 on Monday for locals. And I, to be honest, I didn't play very well. I don't know why, I just didn't play very well. Ended up 1-1-1. Like my first match was against another a Guardi, sorry. And I just couldn't get going the first couple of turns, and that was kind of a running theme all night, really. Really poor starts where I didn't even have a comfy until most games until like turn 3. So I was relying on stuff like Lost Vacuum and Giratina to try and get stuff in the Lost Zone. But yeah, I played the Guardi. That was the draw. We tied in the end. But after looking at it, I think she had the win condition because she just needed to take two prizes, and that she just spread out the energy across the board. But I think if they retreated the Guardi and promoted the baby Guardi, I think they would have got the knockout, but I don't think they saw the play, and I didn't until just afterwards. Like they could have took instead they just tied with me.
I think
it was in turns as well. So I
think she's a relatively new player to the scene, isn't she? I think as well. So
been playing a while.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah, I think sometimes it's a bit difficult, isn't it, when you have like I said, I had in my last challenge at Rewind Games, I took the win against Chen Pao, but they actually had the win condition on board. But
yeah.
But it's not really your position to say it, is it? But obviously, as the opponent. But yeah, you sometimes feel bad because you're like, I should have lost that. I should have lost that. But you take them. You definitely take them.
The second match I had was with Darkrai. I was playing against Darkrai, and it was a relatively new player. And I'd put Path down, and he tried to draw with Greninja. First time I stopped him.
I've done it so many times myself.
Yeah, you do just go stadium blind. But the second time I couldn't stop him in time, and he drew. And then he looked at it and then put the card on the back in the deck randomly, I think. So then I shout, I had to say, I'm going to have to get a judge to come over now, because I knew that's it's a 2 prize penalty, obviously. So judge came over. He couldn't remember what the card was.
Right. Yeah. Sure.
So the judge shuffled the deck. And then he got 2 prize penalty.
Luckily,
he was already behind at that point. He was already behind 2 prizes. and I'd managed to sable eye his baby Moltres,
Mm.
and then just cleaned up on one of his Darkrai Vs to take the last prize. So I had to take it a bit awkwardly, but managed to get it in the end.
Yeah, it's a bit rough, isn't it, when especially new players, but at least it was locals and not tournaments,
regional.
Yeah.
or regionals, or ICs, etc., etc. Cool. And then you mentioned the last matchup was the mirror, was it?
Yeah, that was my loss. Again, I didn't. I had a really poor start. Which if you play in a mirror or you play in any lost box deck, and the opposition gets at least 2 or 3 in the lost zone before you, then you're massively behind. Because as soon as he reached 7 and 10, it's
game over.
I think I ended up going ahead of them. I got to 10 first, but I couldn't draw what I needed at the time. I didn't have a Sableye until very late on. Just didn't have a good night drawing, and I didn't have a good night setting up. Didn't at all 3 matches. I didn't have a VIP opening hand, so you kind of knackered.
What list? Whose list are you running? Is it a list you made yourself?
So it's a bit, it's a bit of a mix of I think top 3 from a recent regionals, and just a bit of my own. Like I play one Iono, 1 Roxanne, 1 Lost Vacuum. And I play a Templar Sinnoh as well for the Lugia, although I don't play any Lugias. I'm thinking of dropping the Templar Sinnoh, maybe for like when 151's out, sticking the Mew in.
Just drop it just in time for Lugias to get good with a colourless build, yeah. So, okay, Kath, have you been playing much this week?
No, I'll be a lot quicker. No, just a bit on the ladder, but I'm getting pretty sick of Alakazam. I just seem to always get matched with someone who can do exactly the damage to just wipe me out. Frustrating.
Yeah, that's probably good to talk about that and the impact of 151. Okay, then moving swiftly on then, away from Alakazam, over to Al. What have you been playing this week?
Well, I've not actually been playing that much either this week. Not even on live, to be honest. I tried 151 released since recording. Okay, so we haven't really spoken about the deck. So I have tried a few 151 decks. Tried a Mew. Oh no, we have had a week. Yeah, I haven't played much, to be honest. I tried Mew EX and Gardevoir. I'm not actually sure that it's actually optimal, to be honest. Mew EX and Gardevoir. I'll still need to test more. Did try the Alakazam. I've tried a few games with Alakazam Mewtwo v Union because I just want Mewtwo v Union to have some kind of spice, but we need to wait for someone like Sander or like Piper to.
It's copium. It's copium. let it die. Let it die. Let it die.
You like that word at the minute?
yeah.
There's a lot of copium knocking about.
But yeah, I haven't really. I do want to try some of the fun kind of single prize decks that I see knocking about. There was one interesting one that Andrew Mahone Tricky Jim. I don't know if you saw the Seeking one, the Swim Freely.
Yeah.
Did you see that? I do want to try that.
I think Sean did it first. Just to say.
Oh, okay, yeah, for the win.
FTW did it first.
Yeah. Simpsons did it first. It reminds me of that.
Yeah. Simpsons did it.
That's it.
Other than that, cool. Not much. No, I haven't been to any leagues or cups or anything. So yeah, nothing really to write home about the last week, fortunately.
Cool. I mean, my step friend myself, I played in the same league, just the kind of the standard locals with Andy. 1-2, lost 1. matchups. What were my matchups? First one was Gardevoir. I was running Lost Zard EX still. Still enjoying that deck, kind of. First game Gardy against Matt, who's obviously been on the channel before. And I just managed to get turn 2 Zard. And with Gardy, I was just able to basically just get so far ahead with prizes that even when he got the return knockout, I was just far too ahead, unfortunately. Second game was against Lost Home Gira, which I'll talk about in a second. That was my loss. I then played Mew, and I beat Mew. And I actually didn't use. I say I didn't use Charizard to beat Mew. I did obviously use it, but I didn't actually knock out a Mew EX. It's not Mew EX, a Mew VMAX. It was all Genesect basically. I actually had a phenomenal play that I really, really, really wanted to happen, and I think I was like, oh, just play. Basically, I swung into his first Genesect and took that knockout. Or was it the Mew? I think he left the Mew out, so I took Mew, which has only 180 health. So when I had my Zard up, that took the knockout even before the weakness. So I took that out. He then put Genesect up. He was just struggling. He was just dead drawing. He was really, really struggling. I hit 180 into that Genesect. He then retreated that. He put the next Genesect up. Again, couldn't do anything. So I hit 180 into that Genesect. And then he eventually brought up his Mew VMAX. And he was just one power tablet short to take the knockout. But I was desperate for him to take the knockout because I was bench locked. Because I actually had Hawlucha in hand and I could have taken with the Hawlucha, putting 10 damage count, well, 1 damage counter, 10 damage onto his 2 Genesects. I could have taken 4 prizes with not even attack, just putting it down. And I was like eager, like going, like, come on, yeah, I think you can dig for the power tablet. You can definitely dig for the power tablets. So I just really wanted to. I've never actually been able to hit that off. I mean, I think I do like Hawlucha in the list. I know some lists don't play it, but I like it for the numbers. It makes it a lot easier for the Tina matchup because it puts it to 270, which is 3 prizes then. So you don't need to then go to 4 prizes. 4 prizes taken for your opponent, which then obviously makes it difficult because if they've got another Giratina, they can just Star Requiem away, or etc. So
helps taking out 2 Confies as well.
Helps taking out 2 Confies, yeah, puts them down to 60. Same with same with routes as well. Yeah. The routes are all 70 apart from the memory skip route. So I do enjoy it. Unfortunately, the one that I actually lost was the Tina matchup, and that was my own doing. I made 3 massive mistakes in the game and still had a win condition, but with the boss at the end to take the win. But I made 3 massive mistakes. The first mistake was I put Cram up front to spit into Giratina. I bossed up his Giratina V. Put Cram up front to spit instantly into it, and didn't realize it only had 3 in the lost zone. Second mistake was I priced.
At least you didn't do that in a regional like I did.
Well, yeah, exactly. The second mistake was I knew I had prized 2 Fire Energy, and I run 6 in the deck, which I still think is a bit tight, but I'm still looking to find space for it. So I knew that I'd done that, and I'd actually kind of concealed cards, and I'd Ultra Ball away to get the Zard, and then I had Super Rod in hand, and I was like, I need 3 energies in deck. I've only got 2. So I was like, right, Super Rod, the energy's back into the deck, then evolve the Charizard and do it, and I completely forgot to do the Super Rod. So I evolved the Charizard, was able to power up the Charizard, but couldn't get the Comfy out of the active. And then the final mistake was I ended up, again, when I was looking for boss, there was 5 cards in deck. There was 7 cards in deck. I dug with 2 Comfies, missed the boss because the boss ended up being one of the last 3 cards. If I was able to boss, they didn't take the Tina out. They didn't have then the win condition. But I missed it, so then I was like, right, fine, I'm just going to try and delay it a little bit. So I put Sableye, tried to lost mine with 9 in the lost zone. So I well and truly deserved to lose that game, but the fact is that I was in it for so long, despite making those 3 glaring mistakes, is a bit worrying. But yeah, I've actually got a challenge tomorrow. So by the time this is being released, it would have been last night. And it's the last one before 151's legal. So I'm thinking of sticking with Lost Zard, I think. I'm pretty sure. Although I did do
stick.
some testing. Did some testing with the Marley brothers, Chris and Sean, last night, and Azul had just made a video. I don't know if you guys have seen it. Azul just released a video. It was like, I was so wrong about Chen Pao. I watched his list and I copied his list, and it's got like it's literally like 90% items. It's like, well, I'd say it's probably 80% items. And 80% items and stadiums, and then like 5% Pokemon and 5% energy, and it's literally all kill and no filler. Like, it's just streamlined to hell. Gave it to Chris. He'd never played it before. He won 7 games in the trot with it because it was just that consistent. And I was like, oh, I don't want to play Chen Pao. I don't want to play Chen Pao. I hate Chen Pao. I hate Chen Pao.
I was saying that before. I was always saying that. You don't need Palkia.
Don't even need the Mew. Don't even need the Mew.
Go on, say it. It's copium.
It's copium. Mew is copium in Chen Pao.
It's
but
not.
Yeah, it is. But yeah, I've done some, and I did some testing last week as well. Unfortunately, I think you weren't able to join us, Andy. But we did some testing with 151. So I actually did play Guardy in 151, and we'll probably. Guardy with 151 Mew. We'll probably speak about that next, or maybe that is probably the segue for it. So, obviously, this weekend is the first regionals with 151 active. I'm really looking forward to see what people are going to create and use. I think realistically, we're all under the same impression that the only really good card, like Obsidian Flame, the only good card from that was Charizard EX. The only good card from this now seems to be Mew EX. I mean, Alakazam, I know Kath mentioned Alakazam. I still think I don't mind it, but I think it's a lot to get going for what it does, if that makes sense.
I've seen a lot of people describe it as the old style hit and run, but you don't have to you don't have to use all your switch cards.
But you put like a Klefki up front, or
Klefki, Mimikyu.
Klefki, Mimikyu, Block, Snorlax, yeah, those kind of cards.
Ting Lu.
Forward. Ting Lu, yeah. But then I guess they use. I don't know. Yeah, having a fighting and a psychic is probably a bit.
No.
But I've tried Alakazam, and it's not. It only does 120, which is rough, to be honest. You need to have some kind of like choice belt or vitality band or something just to buff the power, because a lot of the times you're not even two-shotting Pokemon.
And is it 120? It can hit while it's on the bench, but it only hits active. Is that right?
Yeah. Oh my god, if you could hit from the bench to the bench, that would be ridiculous.
That'd be awesome, though. I think that'd be
amazing. Yeah, but no.
120 spread as well.
Just stick a clip and just start hitting.
Yeah, lost mine from bench. Yeah. But I think So Alakazam's. I think it's. We'll see. I still think it's got a place, but I'm not sure. I think it'll have to find the place, and I personally think that it's just too much to get going.
But not in our decks.
Zapdos EX. I've seen some videos on that. I know a lot of stuff. I don't think it's what I think. I think it's bait. Basically, I don't think it's as good as we make out. It does what you need. It's 120 to active. Is that right? It's 120 to active. And then it's 90 to benched if they've got damage counters on them already.
So you're doing. So
you need to pair it with Horlucha.
You are effectively doing minimum 100 to the bench, really, because you have to put damage counters on first. So they're gonna have at least 100 because of Horlucha. So if you're pairing it with something like, imagine. I mean, maybe it's not great at the moment, but imagine in some kind of Rapid Strike Inteleon sort of deck, Meowscarada kind of thing, where you're slapping kind of little bits of damage and then cleaning it up with Zapdos whilst doing 120 to the active. Like 120 and a substantial amount, 90, which is a substantial amount. Greninja is obviously good, doing 90 to the bench to 2. Like the Amazing Rare Raikou did 120 and then 120. So it's not, those numbers and that effect has seen a lot of play in the past, maybe not from 2 prizes, but I think whilst it's probably not, they're trying to shoehorn it into Miraidon at the moment. maybe it's not the best pairing. To be honest, I don't think it is. I think some genius will probably find something that's it's better with and start putting it in, and then Repastrating Intellions or something. But yeah, I think Masquerada. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's. I don't know what the energy cost is. Is it 1 electric, 2 electric?
1 electric and 2 colorless, I think, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean I mean, a lot of decks just play the odd alternative energy Pokemon and just put a couple of that energy in, like 2. Like we're seeing actually the Iron Hands. I mean, this is the way in the future. Iron Hands in Chen Pao, and you know, it's not out of the realms of possibility for Zapdos to go in any deck. Just put Charizard. The Radiant Charizard goes in random decks. Just put 1 fire. Maybe see Zapdos in blue in Gardevoir. Who knows? Like who knows where it'll crop up, but. No, it's not going to be.
I still just don't see it. I still don't see it.
No.
See it.
But I'm sure. Yeah, I think it will. I think it's probably mid at the moment, but yeah, I don't think it's bad. Plus, it's
well, how many cards have been mid really until you find a use of them? Just look at, I mean, Cresselia with Moonglow Reverse. That was never used until Guardian. Now it's absolutely perfect for it.
Shady Dealings was never used until Scoop Up Net came out.
That's very true. Sorry, just to correct myself, it's actually 3 lightning energy. So it does need to go in the lightning deck, yeah. And it's got the ability, Voltaic Float, that if this Pokemon has any lightning energy to it, it has no retreat cost.
Yeah.
Maybe there'll be a special energy which is like reversal, but if you're down by 2 prizes, you can put it on any Pokemon, something like that. I don't know. I mean, there might be. We had amazing rare Rayquaza that had like, I don't know, 6 energy costs. So you had to discard them all to do 300 damage. That was never. That came out and you were like, we're never going to power this up. It's going to take like 12 turns. And in the end, it is because
Lugia did it. Well,
no, Lost Box was.
Lost Box did that, and then Lugia obviously did the
Raikou. Yeah.
But Aurora energy was good, wasn't it? Whereas we've got Luminous energy now, but if you've got any other special energy attached to it,
there will.
It's redundant. So unless they print another Aurora, that's the only time we'll really see. I think something.
Don't think they will.
It's not going to happen.
They're just the Luminous energy is the Aurora, and they're down. They're not going to release another Aurora because Luminous.
And that's already rough as it is to get going, because if you use, like I said, you use it in like Lugia, etc., you can only use 1. Yeah. So it's very frustrating. But I mean, realistically, I think I saw. I know you mentioned Tricky Gym. I know there was he did a video about the Venonat and Venomoth. That I hated the idea of that. Obviously, item lot is grim. It just brings back to the Vicar Vault control days, which I've no interest in. But that's obviously going to see hopefully some. I think there's some. I mean, we've not seen much really, have we? I mean, Aerodactyl. I've seen an Aerodactyl and a Lugia, which is quite cool. But it's not. It's all about the Mew, isn't it? Realistically,
yeah.
It's all about the Mew. So Mew EX, I think, can go in any deck. I've seen it in Miraidon, I've seen it in Lugia, I've seen it in Guardi, I've seen it in Charizard, Lost Zard EX, I've seen it in I've not seen it in Tina, but I've seen it in Lost Box as well. And I just think it's so good, but how good actually is it? That's the thing. I mean, just for a bit of obviously kind of an insight. I mentioned I did tests. So I tested Gardevoir running Mew EX. So I actually followed Joe's list, the Omnipoke's list from Cube Koga. So I followed his list to the T, and it worked really, really well. I have spoke to him since, because I think Path is still going to be here for a long time, and I think Miraidons and Tinas are now going from 2 paths up to 3 to try and stop the Zards and stop everything. So I think I felt it needed more outs, and he did say that he did test it with another worker, because he only played 1 worker, 2 stadiums, and he mentioned to me that he did play 2 workers, but he took Mew EX out, and it worked fine as well. But then you're just playing Guardi with normal, standard Guardi, but standard Guardi is still so good. But I was playing Miraidon, and I was 2 prizes down, and I was struggling. I had 3 energy in the discard. I had Psychic Embrace Guardi EX out, but I struggled, and I digged and digged and digged, and I dug and dug and dug, and I could not get a baby Guardi out for attack. And I was like, what do I do here? What do I do here? You know, I'm going to go down to 3. The opponent's gone down to 3 prizes, and I'm probably too far behind at this point. So I actually thought, I've got an idea here. So I put Mew EX down because I had it in hand, retreated the active, put it into active. I then Psychic Embraced 3 energies over to it, and then I actually used its own Raiku's ability, own Raiku's attack for the knockout, which kept me in the game, and I actually won the game.
Right.
But I do, and so I think it's got legs. In Miraidon, I'm not sure how prominent it's going to be, but I think Miraidon, it loves a good pivot, it loves a good draw. I think the problem with Miraidon is it's such a fast starter, but mid to end game it just slows down. If you Roxanne it or Iono it to 2, it just dies. It dies a death. So I think if you can, I think it's a pivot, and it's also a free pivot and also a drawing engine. I think it's just really good. I mean, I think we're going to see Mew EX everywhere this weekend in Peoria. But I mean, any of you guys, with any of your decks, apart from Guardian, we already spoke about Guardian, but have you specifically probably lost Tina, Mew, etc.? Are you looking to maybe incorporate Mew EX into it?
I'd probably look at like the I think the ability in any Lost Box decks is a bit rubbish, because you've potentially always got a massive hand, so you're never gonna get,
unless you get Ionode or Roxanne, I suppose.
Yeah, I suppose. Well, still, then if you're
still
only
getting down to less than 3 to draw.
Yeah.
Like,
So,
to
but
make
Yeah,
it worth
if you get
Yeah.
Iono, if you get Iono to 1, you then draw next turn. You're in 2. You're drawing 1 card, aren't you? So it's not amazing,
not
especially for Guardi. For Guardi, there's just no point, because
No.
you've always, your hands and hand sizes is huge.
But for anything that can thin, like Mew VMAX, if you can thin, and then
But they're drawing. You're not going to put Mew EX and Mew VMAX because they've got all they can't even make use of the Genesect ability with it.
well, that's what I mean. You exhaust your Genesect, and then you can thin again, and then you've got another draw. You've got an extra draw, haven't you?
I think Mew's all right for draw.
I know, but if you did, if you've seen people dig and not get stuff, it's like,
but then
2 more cards and they would have had it.
do you?
You're not gonna take
losing
the
out
place
on an extra Genesect and
Yeah.
an extra card every
Not,
Fusion
I'm
Strike
just-
system.
yeah,
if
I'm
you've
just
got
saying,
a Mew
any deck that can thin your hand
Well,
is
every deck.
well, not
That's any deck.
always.
That's the point. Play your cards.
Mew
Well,
has
if
Mew
you've
has
got a handful of
two Mew
stadiums,
VMAXs, a Meloetta, and then 3 Genesects. I'd say that's it. If
You've also got Ice Cube in there as well if you want to bench.
I was using that as an example.
we're shutting you down. We're shutting you down, Andy. Not Mew VMAX.
any deck that can thin will really benefit from Mew EX. The ability, anyway. Every deck will benefit from its attack.
What's that deck? Was it Hisuian Arcanine or Arcanine? It can attack if it's got. Well, actually, that's pointless. If you've got no cards in your hand, then it attacks. But then you'd use Mew EX, and it doesn't. But yeah, that doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it's those like, the small print that's gonna throw people off, I think, when they're trying to copy. I had someone try and copy Wonderstorm from a Clefairy, but they had no psychic energy in play.
Yeah,
so it did
yeah.
nothing.
Like you can't use it against Chempa.
Like,
Can't use it like the certain.
Yeah, I think there'll be quite a few questions.
I guess,
like, Judge, can we
Maybe-
just have this chat?
It won't happen on live, will it? Which is one of the downfalls of live. It doesn't actually teach you to play the game.
Yeah.
But
Well, if
in
there
real
are-
life, you'll have people trying to start Star
Well,
Requiem.
Concealed cards with a path in play.
Well, yeah,
There are some
you'll
cards
have
with-
people doing stuff.
with attacks
that's an
that
ability, though.
do a
Yeah,
certain
but-
amount of damage
Yeah,
based on
right.
how many energy there is on the board overall, or it does a certain amount of damage based on how much energy you have attached to all your Pokemon. And it's any energy. I'm sure there are attacks, in which case that would work, or maybe
Yeah,
it's,
so
Oh
with
yeah,
like
there'll still be attacks that'll go through, but not necessarily the ones that like they can't be using Star Requiem
it's
because
sniping
they've not
attacks.
got stuff in the last zone. And
I think the best use for Mew is sniping attacks in decks that don't typically snipe. I think that is the best.
but
think
then
that's-
it just depends what your opponent's got in the
Yeah.
active as to what you can use.
No,
you
I mean
need
you're
to be-
bossing up a Greninja. That's essentially. I'm just thinking of bossing up Greninjas in decks that maybe typically don't want to play a mana fee really, or don't want to put down a mana fee because of bench space. I think that is like maybe Chen Powell's maybe over bench. Just you can hopefully you can do it early game. Maybe you can, especially in Lugia turn 2, you boss up a Greninja. Maybe they haven't got evolved their Baxcalibur yet. You get take out their do some damage to a Chen Pao or something and take out the Frigibax. I think it's yeah. I think Lugia is the deck. Lugia is the deck for it. I think.
About Yoga Loop.
What about you?
You could Yoga Loop. You could copy Yoga Loop to get 2 prizes, which is
But
2
you're
turns,
playing
which is
against.
good.
But you're playing
if
against
there's enough
Rapid
damage on the
Stratton,
board.
Yeah, they've all got like 320, 310, 320 HP. Then the Yoga Loop.
Not artillery. Or Emerald.
Yeah, but you've got to be able to sprinkle damage yourself, really. If you're playing the deck with Mew,
I had this conversation the other day with one of the Marley brothers about my worry going with being obviously a Guardi. I still main Guardi. I'm playing a lot of Zard at the moment. I'm still main a Guardi deck. Is the conversation I've got to have now is, and the thought process is, do I actually take Greninja out of my deck? Because if not, I'm giving people with Mew EXs, which is probably going to be most decks, the ability to snipe my routes early doors. So I've got to work out, is it worth the benefit? Because if I can't get out of mana fee, you prize a mana fee. Shooting heavy balls not common in lists anymore. Is it worth even having the ninja? And it's well, yes, the draw. I mean, Greninja itself benefits. Guardi itself benefits from Greninja from 2 elements. One, the draw. You're constantly drawing. I know you've got refinement, but it can help you early doors to obviously start getting some cards. Secondly, it's getting that energy in discard. How else do you get the energy in discard? The only thing I can think of is maybe the new stadium
Cycling
from
Road?
151 Cycling Road, but that can be bumped.
Probably not. Yeah,
that can be bumped. So, I mean, that's the kind of question now I think a lot of people are going to start having to ask themselves is actually doing Greninja, because I'm pretty sure I said in this in the meta from Paldea Evolved that the best attacker at the moment is Greninja. And it is just so good. And the amount of stage 2 decks it can take out, obviously, like you said, Baxcaliburs, Frigibacks before they evolve. It can take out Routes, it can take out Curliers, it can take out Charmanders, it can take out Clefairies, it can take out Comfies. And all of a sudden you're limiting your bench space for mana fee. So all of a sudden mana fee becomes a necessity rather than an inclusion. And if you prize mana fee and you run one of it, it's kind of you're gone. Like I did play a Chen Pao, and he got that attack off because I prized my mana fee, and I lost that game because he uses Greninja, and I was playing Chen Pao. This was before 151, so I know it can still happen, but with 151, and all they need is to use your own Pokemon against you, a boss's orders and 3 energy attached, and that's that. So it's now the conversation we're going to start having now is it worth it? I mean, from your guys' benefit, because I'm still undecided. what do you think? Do you think it is?
Unless it's all. I mean, we haven't seen how it plays out. Unless actually it turns out that it's not a major threat. Like there's so many cards that come out, and we all just try and tech for it, and actually I've never ever come up against like my wild luck ever, actually, except for that one time at that Geek Retreat at Fanboy. yeah. But like there's certain techs that ahead of it release that everyone's like, oh my god, this is going to be like, how are we going to cope with all this? I just don't think that. I think if you play your Greninja, yeah, it's a tough one actually. you always have to think. You always have to think whether it's worth putting your Greninja down. I mean, maybe you collapsed. We were talking before about maybe putting 2 collapsed in. You collapse before, like collapse your Greninja, and maybe you can collapse again. You use it again. Like, I think it's a tough one because you don't want to put Greninja and a Mana Free against a guard in a Gardevoir mirror. It just feels bad. It just feels bad, and especially you want to be putting Cresselia. So that's 3 cards that aren't drawing. Well, Greninja draws, but it's not a psychic. So then you have to have 3 routes, and your routes are getting hit. If your routes gets hit by Greninja, and then even still, like Chen Pao plays the what do you call it? The caption. No, the caption. What's the thing? The
Cancelling Cologne.
Cancelling Cologne. Yeah, the aftershave. I don't know. It's a tough one, and also with the new Jirachi as well. You'll want to play Jirachi to counter Sableye because Sableye is annoying.
Yeah. But then that's the question: is now, because at the moment Cancelling Cologne. I remember when it first was announced, we were all like, "Oh, this is gonna be good," and no one ran it. No one ran it until Chen Pao. No one ran it until Chen Pao. So Chen Pao is the only deck really that does play Cancelling Cologne. I'm not going to go out and say it's the only one. I know there's other decks, but Chen Pao is the main deck that runs Cancelling Cologne. Are we all of a sudden now going to see more Cancelling Colognes for that play? For the boss new Cancelling Cologne, boss up the Ninja.
No, because you have to boss up the Mana Fee with Cancelling Cologne.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to use Splash, whatever it is.
It rains Splash.
Just hit it for 20.
Yeah, true. I suppose, yeah. So, what about Andy, Kath? What do you think? I mean, obviously, Greninja's just so. I mean, I remember when it was announced, and we were all like, "Oh my god, what a card! What a card!" And it has been so good, and it is still so good. It's in nearly every deck. But with this Mew, is this now going to limit the use of it?
No, I don't think it will. I'll still play Greninja because it's a really good draw engine.
Well, in Chen Pao, you will anyway.
Well, I'll still play it in Tina.
I'll
still play it in Tina. Is that it can help you? It can help you massively.
I think it's going to depend how prevalent it is in the locals that we play in. Because if people are playing Mew,
will play it as well.
Then
people stop
we'll
playing
have
Greninja.
to reconsider. But if people aren't playing Mew, then it doesn't matter.
I think it's because it's not a deck. It's not a very high it's not a high entry barrier. Like it's very easy just to put a Mew in any deck, really. So it's quite. I think everyone will play it at least in the first few weeks. It's very easy to get. Like it's readily available. It's not very expensive. It's not like Charizard EX. You have to build a deck around it as well. If you just put it in anything, it will show up. So at least for the first month before the first big regional, where we see actually how many of the big decks did make use of it.
Well, the regional this weekend is 151 legal, so I think we'll have to, this is Peoria, and so I think the Peoria. I mean, I can guarantee you that we'll end up seeing on stream, and I guarantee you will see a boss up Ninja Mew play. I bet you will see it on stream. If we don't, I'll be disappointed. But it's definitely one to think about. It's one that I've been thinking about long term because. Like I said, I think the deck benefits Guardy massively. I am going to go back to Guardy. I am enjoying Guardy again. Had a bit of a break, and now I'm playing it again. I am enjoying it. 151 Mew goes straight in. But I'm genuinely considering, does Thingy come out now, Greninja, because I don't want to put myself at risk.
What are you playing in place? If you ditch the Greninja, are you going to put a different Radiant Pokemon in?
No. The Radiant was purely for the draw. So what I would do is I would most likely I'll try Cycling Road. I want to test it and see if Cycling Road. So Cycling Road, once during each player's turn, that player may discard a basic energy from their hand in order to draw a card. So it's a stadium, so it's a bounce. So it's a path bounce, and lets you basically still discard that energy. I also think maybe the count of Ultra Balls might go up a bit as well in the lists. Because I think there needs to be a way to discard. There really just needs to be a way to discard energy. So because that's the big thing really for Guardies to get rid of the energy, and that's that Greninja helps you massively. You can Ultra Ball away. But I think the list only play 2 or 3 Ultra Balls, so it might need to go up to 4 Ultra Balls now. So it'll be interesting to see. But again, I think we're definitely looking forward. I'm looking forward to Peoria to see that what the meta is, and how it's, how Mu 151 is going to impact the meta. I also think there's going to be a lot of Lugia. Lugia seems to have picked up a lot of steam, and I've actually seen a fair bit of Gudra as well, Lost Goo, because Lost Goo, the thing that it was really struggling against was things that could one hit KO it, and it never really had the damage output. But with Mu 151, it can now match that damage output. So it can use 280. It can use Giratina's own moves against it. It can use Charizard's moves against it now as well. And you've obviously got the Lost Zone engine. It's really good. I know that Omnipoke played a video recently actually saying that, and he said it's actually a really, and no one's even teching for it. No one's thinking about Lost Goo at the moment because of how bad it has been, really. But I think with 151, that again changes that deck. Lugia, colorless Lugia build is seeing a lot more play as well now. It's won a lot of tournaments. Again, Mu 151 is massive in that as well. So it's definitely going to be interesting. I don't think it's been a massive shake up to the meta that we expect. I think that's Paradox Rift. I think Paradox Rift, and then the next set after that, which introduce ace spec cards, I think that's going to be more interesting, especially when we get cards like I think Al mentioned it already, Iron Hand ZX. That's going to be a very, very good card. But yeah, I think I'm obviously looking forward to Peoria. Can't wait. If we do some predictions and try and remember them for next week, what deck is going to win?
Me VMAX.
You can never write me VMAX off, to be fair.
You can't.
I'm going to say I'll say Lugia.
Okay. Al?
Lugia. Is Charizard going to be prevalent? I think maybe
Arvanzard actually is seeing a lot of play after the Curitiba regionals.
I don't know. It's a hard one, isn't it? I don't want to. I feel like Lost Box could win it. Got Lost Box, Turbo Lost Box.
Turbo Lost Box. Okay. And sorry, Andy, are you doing colorless or single strike Lugia?
I'd go. Yeah. Well, if colorless is seen, I'm going to go single strike.
Okay, and I'm going to go colourless Lugia.
Okay.
So I go colourless Lugia. But yeah, join us next week when we look at our predictions.
See how wrong we were.
And how wrong we were, yeah. Based on past efforts, we would be very, very wrong. It's probably going to be Gardevoir, knowing our luck.
Yeah. A long time no one says it.
Exactly, yeah. I was well expecting Al to say it, to be honest.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, obviously I mentioned Paradox Rift. Scary thought, guys. We're not a million miles away from Paradox Rift. I've already started being contacted by our locals to discuss putting down for the pre-release.
Oh, yeah,
that's only a couple of weeks away.
Wow.
I think usually the pre-release is a week and a half. So I think we're about
when is it?
2 weeks. 21st of October. I will just double check that to make sure, but I'm pretty sure it's usually a week and a half before. I'm sure it's usually a week and a half before the release, so it should be. So I think it's about the 21st. So I think we'll be doing our locals on the Monday the 23rd. But yeah, look, I can't believe. I mean, the promos haven't even been announced with Obsidian Flame. The promos were announced really, really early. But we've heard nothing.
But then with Paldea Evolved, they were late as well. They were announced quite late.
I know why. It's because obviously, so Paldea Evolved was late because it was a mix of two different sets, if I remember correctly. Snow Clay and Hazard Burst, I think that was.
Clayburst.
Sorry, Clayburst and whatever.
No, has not.
No, Hazard.
That's it. We got there in the end.
Clay Hazard.
Whereas, Clay Hazard. Yeah. Whereas Obsidian was Ruler of the Black Flame and just started decks. So that was already out in Japan when we actually had. So I think that's why they were announced quite early. But obviously, I think Paradox Rift is a mix of a couple sets. I know that Raging Surf has been released in the past couple of weeks. So obviously I think there's going to be a few more sets released. So I think they'll wait because it's obviously released them. But yeah, we're not a million miles away. But talking about Paradox Rift, we've obviously got really good news that we've actually got our good friend and also absolute incredible pillar of the community, Omnipoke. So Joe from Omnipoke is actually coming back on to chat with us in advance of Paradox Rift releasing. So we'll have a deep dive with Joe from Omnipoke to discuss the meta and how, you know, what decks are going to be prevalent, and just have a really big deep dive of it. So I'm really looking forward to that. So obviously we'll announce it on all our social media channels of the date. I think we're still finalising the date, but it should be out the week before Paradox Rift. So looking forward to that. Right, so moving on, I think we're going to move over to our RTFC for the week. I have one, and I think I've already mentioned it already, but I think I had to do it because I messed up. But has anyone else got one they want to say before I go ahead with mine?
Go for it.
No.
So mine is Luminous Energy.
Okay.
All right.
I actually forgot that because I went to I was testing Colourless Lugia against Matt Byram, and I brought out a Charizard and then attached Luminous, and then I could gift energy to it to just attack, and he was like, no, you can't do that. And I was like, what? And I read it, I was like, oh, for God's sake. So then I kind of went back and I had the knockout anyway, but it was annoying because I was like, I really want a one prize and knockout. So yeah, so just for everyone's benefit there, the RTFC this week is Luminous Energy. So it's that came out on Paldea Evolved, and it states, as long as this card is attached to a Pokemon, it provides every type of energy, but only provides one energy at a time. If the Pokemon this card attached has any other special energy attached, this card only provides one colorless energy instead. So yeah, so that's what really messed me up, because I tried to attach it to that and a gift energy to a Radiant Charizard to take a knockout, because the opponent hadn't taken enough prizes. So yeah, RTFC for this week.
That's why you fail.
But I won.
But you won, yeah.
But yeah, so I think that wraps it up for this week. It's a relatively short and sweet and simple one this week, because we've got lots to talk about next week. So next week, I think we're going to obviously do a deep dive on Peoria, and also how the meta has shifted with 151, if it has shifted at all. We'll do kind of like a little review set of the sets, just to say whether I think you got our feelings and our thoughts and opinions already. It's basically just Mew 151, not actually Pokemon 151.
Is this the end of Greninja? R.I.P. Greninja.
No. My Guardian, Jake Guardian, yes. But yeah, we'll obviously do a deep dive on that. We'll obviously have Peoria results to discuss as well. So really, really looking forward to that. And we might actually have some more products ourselves, hopefully. I think we're still waiting for our UPCs, which knows if they've been delayed or not. I know they've been delayed in the UK quite a bit. A lot of people are getting emails about delays.
Is it the 16th?
It's this week. It's
it's Friday.
Yeah, 16th.
No, the 6th.
No, I've looked on my order and it says estimated ship date is the 16th. I'm sure it was.
Where did you get it from?
Same as you.
Where did you
get
it
it
from?
Checked mine game. So I checked mine today and it said just unshipped, but it didn't. It still said it didn't mention the date.
Yeah, but I'm sure mine said 16th.
That is annoying. I will double check now.
It's really annoying.
Double check mine. Yeah.
I mean, still too long, whether it's the 6th or the 16th.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very true. I mean, to be fair, I still think we haven't got the official release of that last Crown Zenith box with the really cool Lugia artwork.
Oh yeah.
From the mystery box. I know that Amazon was selling them.
Die.
I know. Well, the thing, I don't actually know, because I don't know if it was. I know Amazon was selling it, but I don't know if it was an Amazon exclusive. But I've not seen it out in the wild, and I've got no interest in Crown Zenith. I'm just gonna buy the cards now.
It'll come out when Lugia rotates.
Just in time. Right, well, I think that wraps it up for this week. So I just want to thank Andy, Al, and Kath for joining me again, and I want to thank you, the listeners and viewers, for watching and listening again this week. If you want to keep up to date with us, follow us on our social media channels. So at Training Court on Twitter, or X, whatever it's called now. Or we've also got an Instagram account, which is at Training Court TCG. If you want to listen to us, we are on Podbean, so the trainingcourt.podbean.com, where that feeds into Spotify and or Apple Podcasts. So just again, search for Training Court TCG on your respective platform. You'll be able to find us. Again, give us a like, a subscribe, and a follow, and obviously give us any comments or feedback. That would be greatly appreciated. If you want to carry on watching us, the best place is on our YouTube channel, which is at Training Court TCG. That's it. And again, like, subscribe, and comment. We love chatting to everyone on the comments, and we like hearing your feedback on the matters as well, because we just sit here and chat crap about Pokemon. So join us and chat crap about Pokemon. Thanks everyone again, and we will see you all next week. Take care.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Bye.
Goodbye.